Namah Shri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Netapahari Hari Om Tatsat Hari Om Tatsat Hari Om Tatsat. My very devoted pranams to revered Swami Shantatmanandaji Maharaj. My devoted pranams to Swami Atmashraddhanandaji Maharaj. I thank Swami Shantatmanandaji Maharaj to have invited me here to talk about a phenomenon. I would call Swami Vivekananda the phenomenon for not one reason, but several reasons. Just now we heard a very beautiful introduction given by Maharaj, in which he has touched upon the different profiles of this phenomenon. So, what are we going to do in the next 40 minutes? It is impossible to touch upon the very heart of this personality within the short span of time. So all that we can do in the next few minutes is that we shall just touch upon one or two areas in a very brief manner. First of all, I should say, when I look at this audience here, it is so promising. If you look outside this building, we are in Gurugram here, a city buzzing with activity. Everybody is running. Ask them, why are they running and where are they heading towards? Why I'm saying this is that it's a very interesting thing. A few days back, I was in Dehradun and there was a program there. Those who have visited our Dehradun ashram, you will see that just outside the ashram, there is a crossroad, a juncture, and there Swami Vivekananda's one statue has been installed. And when I was going to the ashram from the airport, my car was stuck up in that juncture for almost 10 minutes. And I was seeing one very interesting thing. In the center of that juncture is Swami Vivekananda's beautiful statue. And surrounding that, vehicles after vehicles, thousands and thousands of them, they are passing. But no one has got time to even cast a glance on this statue which has been put there. No, it was just stimulating some thoughts in my mind. Like that, you will find such statues put in many places all over India. But do we really pay attention to this statues of Swami Vivekananda and what is it conveying? The society is busy, everybody is busy, everybody is simply running. We don't take time to pay attention to this great personality and what he symbolizes. That is why I'm so glad to see in the midst of this buzzing city, extremely buzzing city, at least there is one small group of people here. All of you have taken time to come to the ashram here, and with an earnestness and eagerness to listen something about these three great personalities. Today Swami Vivekananda and tomorrow Sri Ramakrishna and Sharda Devi. Anyway, let me come to Swami Vivekananda. Now, when we talk about Swami Vivekananda, the first picture which comes to the mind is his presence on the stage of the World Parliament of Religions in 1893. This is the obvious picture which comes to the mind of all of us. 1893, 11 September. It was a watershed moment in Indian history, not only in Indian history, but in the world history itself. I refer to that incident as a turning point event. Why it was a turning point event? Now see, our subject is Swami Vivekananda and awakening. It's not only the awakening in the context of India, but it is in the context of the entire globe itself. Vivekananda's mission was a global mission, in and through India. That is the connection. He wanted to bring about a Prabuddha Bharat, and in and through a Prabuddha Bharat, he wanted to bring about a Prabuddha Vishwam, an awakened global order, an awakened humanity in and through awakened India. This was Vivekananda's mission. A statement from Vivekananda which is coming to my mind in this context. Perhaps it was in 1896 when he was in London. There he makes a very significant statement. Swamiji says, I'm talking about 1896. He has spent almost 3 years in America, and from America he has come to the continental Europe. And there in London, Swami Vivekananda is making this statement, and he is saying that, just look at his vision. See, we are talking about Vivekananda's mission of awakening the entire humanity itself. Swamiji makes a very important statement there. What did he say? He said, actually he didn't say it, he wrote it down. He was writing something. He says that, in America, I have just started my work. Every sentence is important. Vivekananda is saying, in America, I have just started my work. Just imagine 3.5 years in America and what he did there. It's not possible to talk about it now in this 40 minutes time. What a grueling 3 years he went through, we can't even imagine. Vivekananda, after this grueling work of sowing the seeds of the great Hindu Dharma, he has come to the continental Europe, and there he says, in America, I have just started my work. He says, we have to give a new civilization to the entire humanity. The society has to be turned upside down. I have raised some small waves in America. We have to raise a tidal wave. The society has to be turned upside down. We have to give a new civilization to the entire human race. Just look at this prophetic statement. He is saying, in America, I have just started my work. I have raised just few waves, and we have to raise a tidal wave, and the society has to be turned upside down, and we have to give a new civilization to the entire humanity. Now, this was Vivekananda's mission. He was thinking about awakening the entire humanity. But how is it going to accomplish this one? In that scenario comes the great Bharat, and Bharat's very soul. I always remind our Indians and Bharatiyas, remember this point, the very soul of Bharat is Hindu Dharma. Without this Hindu Dharma, Bharat is no Bharat at all. These two together go into the making of this phenomenon called Swami Vivekananda. When we think about that great 1893 11 September event, which I refer to as the turning point event, we have to look at that event in the right context, in perspective. What is the context? Let us go back 1,000 years. Let us go back to that period when India was known to be, in Hindi हम लोग जो कहते हैं, भारत को हम लोग सोने की चिड़िया कहते थे. भारत जो है, ये सोने की चिड़िया थी. It was one of the richest nations in the world. It was a center of attraction in every sense of the term, whether it was the empirical sciences, whether it was spiritual sciences, the different arts, you take any area, the contribution which our ancestors and forefathers had made towards the entire humanity is simply unimaginable. You may be knowing, many of you, I'm sure, India was the educational hub of the world just 1,000 years back. Can you imagine? Today we talk about going to Cambridge and Oxford and studying there. Just like people from all parts of the world, they used to come to India. India was the educational hub of the entire world. This is Vidya Bhumi. Let us understand this point. This is the land of Vidya, Saraswati. Even 1,000 years back, if you go by historical records, there were at least 24 international universities existing in India. Why I'm referring to this scenario? We have to understand this awakening which Vivekananda brought about since 11 September 1893. From that great stature which India was having in the global scenario, being the richest country in the world from the material standpoint, and also from all other spiritual, philosophical, psychological, you take any area, in every sense of the term, India was ruling the roost. From that great stature, slowly from the 10th century onwards, the decline started. This great awakened India slowly began to go into sleep. Literally, it was a gradual getting into a state of slumber, getting into a state of drowsiness, and we slowly went to sleep. That was a time, we all know historically what happened. The Islamic invasions and the kind of destruction and the great devastation which it brought about, the constant attack on this great civilization, and the resultant repercussions, social repercussions, and the political instability, and the degeneration which it brought about among the people. I can't discuss all those things in detail now here, but slowly the point is that centuries after centuries, India went on declining, the richest country in the world, ruled by these foreign barbarians and later by the English. In the 19th century, what do we find? When we come to the 19th century, we find this greatest land of all times existing in abject poverty. This was the India which Vivekananda was born in. We are talking about 19th century India, when we find, now just like Maharaj had pointed out, that great incident. After Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, Vivekananda, he walked through the length and breadth of this land. You all know that story. I need not go into the details of that. He went to the northern part of India, walking, seeing the India, feeling the pulse of India. Came to the western part, and from the western part, he is coming to the southernmost tip of this subcontinent. And there, sitting on that great rock, which is today named after this great phenomenon, Vivekananda Rock, sitting there, Vivekananda, just imagine, we are talking about a monk, a sannyasi. What is a sannyasi supposed to meditate upon? A sannyasi's only object of meditation is Brahman, the supreme reality, Ishvara, what else? But here was a very unique monk who was meditating not on Ishvara, but he was meditating on his motherland. For 3 days and 3 nights, this sannyasi was meditating on Bharat. See, we are talking about awakening India through Swami Vivekananda. This was his one, I should say, a maddening concern. Many times I use this word. Vivekananda was a mad man, literally. Mad for his motherland, mad for Hindu Dharma. He breathed it. And whenever he spoke about India, he would turn red. His face would turn red. That was the kind of pride which he held in his bosom whenever he spoke about Bharat and Hindu Dharma. So just imagine this great sannyasi is standing, he is meditating there on the Vivekananda rock, today Vivekananda rock. And what is he seeing? He is looking into the past glory of Bharat. What great achievements this land had attained, and what great contributions it had made to the entire world economy. That great land he is seeing during his time had come to a state of abject poverty. The richest country had come down to a state where he was seeing it was inhabited by 30 crore half-naked men and women. These are the words, Vivekananda's own words. He was seeing his own brothers and sisters, 30 crore of them, literally half-naked, without clothing, proper clothing, having no food to eat. This was the state of India in 19th century, caused by different kinds of exploitation, the British exploitation, and before that, the Islamic invasion and the several factors together. And Swami Vivekananda would literally shed tears looking at this plight of his motherland. But he was not a person to just sit quiet. He was looking into the future as well. And Vivekananda paints a glorious future for India. Swamiji says if this great land had come to this plight, he was also seeing the great future of this motherland. And that is what just now while introducing, he had read this wonderful quotation. What is that quotation? After Vivekananda came back from America in Ramnath, that famous utterance, electrifying, prophetic. Swamiji is saying that the longest night seems to be passing away. The sorest trouble seems to be coming to an end at last. The seeming corpse appears to be awakening. India, this motherland of ours, is awakening from a deep, long slumber. Never again is she going to sleep anymore. None can resist her anymore. No outward power can hold her back anymore. For this great giant is awakening to her feet. Just imagine this electrifying utterance, just like a prophet. He is looking into the future of this great motherland, and he is saying that the future greatness of this country is going to be so great that all the past attainments is going to pale into insignificance. Can you imagine the prediction of the sannyasin? And this prediction he is making 125 years ago, he had made in the 19th century when there was absolutely no ray of hope anywhere existing at that time. At that time, Vivekananda had made this prediction that the future glory of this country is going to be so great that all the past attainments is going to pale into insignificance. So, what? Today we are seeing, where is India standing? Today in 2025, it's very interesting. Today we are the 5th largest economy in the world. Very soon we are going to be it is said, predicted by maybe in another decade or so, we are going to be the 3rd largest economy in the world. And by the time we come to 2047 or maybe 2050s, it is predicted that we are going to be the #1 nation in the whole world. This is the trajectory of progress that we see from the time Vivekananda came on the Indian scenario and on the global scenario. This is the reason why I say that Vivekananda's appearance on the World Parliament of Religion stage, it was a watershed moment, firstly for India, definitely India and Hindu Dharma. These are all connected factors. Awakening of the India has to be through the awakening of great Hindu Dharma. There cannot, every time whenever India has been awakened, it has been awakened by stimulating its religious sentiments. It is a religion which is the very soul. Whenever he speaks about religion, remember he speaks about the great Hindu Vedic system of thought. He was the proudest Hindu ever born. I always say, today we need to learn this lesson. Anyway, then, how are we going to awaken this land? Just imagine, I'm talking about that great incident where he was sitting and meditating on that Vivekananda rock and he was visualizing, this is the great India which is going to come in the future. And then with this idea, he went to America. He went to America. Initially, he went to America, though he was a deeply spiritual person. But initially, his plan of going to America was not to spread Vedanta and all. He wanted to bring money from that. Can you imagine? This one sannyasi who doesn't have a single paisa in his pocket, he is planning to go to the US to bring money from there so that he can do something for his motherland. This is the passion which this great personality had in his bosom, which we have to learn today. We have to have some ideal and some philosophy when it comes to what are we doing in this land. We have some great goal before us. In today's scenario, if you just see, we have a great responsibility and onus on everyone's shoulder. So Vivekananda went to America initially with the intention of bringing money from there, but after all, later on the whole thing, it took a different form. He sowed the seeds of Hindu Dharma, Vedanta in America, and because of that, India was awakened. Now let me just talk a little bit about that great event, the 11th September 1893 event. Now, in 19th century, India was a subject of ridicule for the entire world. Hinduism was a subject of absolute ridicule and joke for the entire world. Not only for the entire world, we Hindus ourselves had started to look down upon Hindu Dharma. We had lost faith in the great religion of our ancestors. We had lost faith, that Atma Vishwas in our own self. This was the psychological state of this entire country at that time. What to do? How to awaken this sleeping soul? As I said, for the last 1,000 years, India was slowly going into the state of slumber and sleep. India need to be given an electric shock to awaken it, to once again make it stand on its own feet. And that's why, if you just note that 11th September lecture of Vivekananda, definitely all of you have read that lecture. You should revisit that lecture. It's worth just 3 minutes lecture. Just hardly 45 lines, if I'm not wrong. In this short 45 lines, if you just count it, if you just see, what is he saying? Look at his first sentence. See, I'm talking about awakening. The world is going to be awakened by an awakened India, and India is going to be awakened by an awakened Hindu Dharma. This was his plan, to put it very flatly in black and white. His first sentence there, on 11th September, to that august audience, standing in the platform of Chicago, he is saying that, I thank you in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. Just imagine the first sentence which this great prophet of the modern times uttered. What did he say? He is thanking the entire globe in the name of what? In the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. The question is, which is this most ancient order of monks in the world? The great Hindu Dharma. Second sentence, he is saying that I thank you in the name of the mother of all religions. Look at every sentence. Now, this is all impromptu speech, okay? He didn't come prepared. It is literally Mother India was speaking through him. It was the very soul of India, the Hindu Dharma, was speaking through him. He is saying that I thank you all in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. I thank you in the name of the mother of all religions. And the next sentence he says, I thank you in the name of the millions and millions of Hindus of all classes and sects. In the first three sentences, he is thanking the entire world in the name of Hindu Dharma. Can you imagine? This is the turning point. And then his lecture goes, wonderful speech. Four times he is using the word I am proud to belong to, I am proud to belong to, I am proud to belong to, I am proud to belong. Proud to belong to what? I am proud to belong to this religion, I am proud to belong to this motherland. I am proud to belong to this religion, I am proud to belong to this motherland. It was an electric shock which he gave, in and through which India and the Hindus started to understand the glory of Bharat and the glory of Hindu Dharma. We are talking about awakening. This is how Vivekananda instilled and stimulated and gave an electric shock to the sleeping India and the sleeping Hindus to understand what their forefathers had left behind for them in the name of a great heritage, the great spiritual heritage. And this was the starting point. And then, of course, his mission starts. So whenever I think about Swami Vivekananda, these two things very glaringly comes before our eyes. Vivekananda is a perfect blend of two things. The great Hindu Dharma and the great land Bharat. He would literally become passionate when he spoke about these two things. And today we are seeing the repercussions of that, the consequences of that. India is awakening. Hindus are awakening. Hindus have to awaken. But let me just touch upon one important point. As I said, when we talk about Swami Vivekananda, we can go on and on and on. You can take one area of Swami Vivekananda and it can be turned into one session. So what do I touch upon the next 10-15 minutes? One important point I will touch upon, which is very relevant to the present day India. See, Vivekananda had spoken about this 125 years back. After having come back from America, Swamiji is famous, I request all of you, you should read this book. And that book is Lectures from Colombo to Almora. I really appeal, very earnestly, I appeal to all of you, dear devotees assembled here. You should read it. You should make your children read it. If possible, you give this book to others. But first of all, you have to understand what its content is. All that today we are seeing, every single utterance of Vivekananda, you will see Vivekananda had spoken about the coming India and how we are going to rebuild India in those pages full of flames. They are not just words, they are words in flames, literally flames. There Vivekananda says in one place, talking about the future of this land, he is saying that the future of India entirely depends upon 3 points. 125 years ago, in 1897, Vivekananda is talking about the future of India. There are 5 important lectures. Please note it down if you're interested. One is My Plan of Campaign. Second is the future of India. Third is the work before us. Fourth one is Vedanta in its application in everyday life. And the fifth one is the sages of India. These 5 lectures, I always tell that every Indian and every Hindu should read to understand the glory of who we are and who our ancestors were. What is the kind of blood which is coursing in our veins, to understand that spirit, to get that spirit and have some sense of pride. Everyone should read these 5 lectures. Then in one of the lectures, like in Future of India, Swami Vivekananda says, the future of India entirely depends upon 3 points. Can you imagine what he said? The 3 points, which is so blazingly relevant in present day scenario in our country. Swamiji says, if you want to make India glorious, 3 things are extremely important, and the future of India entirely depends upon these 3 points. Which are the 3 points? Swamiji says, number 1, organization. Number 2, coordination of wills. Number 3, accumulation of power. You may wonder, what is this? What did he mean by coordination of wills? Swami Vivekananda had seen that the India of his time, we were miserably divided. And this is the condition even today. India is a very strange land where we can easily divide people who are foolish, who are vulnerable to division. Vulnerable to division on flimsy grounds. And what are the most important grounds today? If you just see the grounds on which literally the so-called evil elements in this country are trying to play with the integrity of this nation, and that is one, language. You see the language war which is going on in this country. And these things, Swami Vivekananda at that time had talked about the necessity of unity, organization. Swamiji said that we have to be organized, we have to be unified, our wills have to be coordinated. He had seen that, a beautiful instance he gave there. Swamiji, speaking about our condition, he was saying, you see, why did these foreigners rule us for 2.5 centuries? English. He gives a very beautiful illustration. He says, 4 crore people, Englishmen, ruling 30 crore Indians. Is it not something ridiculous? How can 4 crore people rule 30 crore humanity? If you just look at this phenomenon from the standpoint of the strength, how can 4 people rule 30 people? That is the question. Is it possible? But it was a fact of history. Just a handful of Europeans and Englishmen, they ruled 30 crore Indians for 2.5 centuries. Why? Because these 4 crore so-called Englishmen, they were united, they were organized, their wills were coordinated, and when your wills are coordinated, you become powerful, accumulation of power. Vivekananda says that this is the one thing which we are lacking in this land, and that is why every time we are vulnerable to foreign rule, vulnerable to breaking down. No, this cannot be allowed anymore in this country. Vivekananda's that prescription, how blazingly relevant it is. See, we are talking about an awakened India. Every citizen of this land should be awakened to this idea that we are one people. We may be speaking different languages. We need not fight over the glory of one language over the other. Let us make this point very clear. Every language is equally great. Every language is equally important. I always say every North Indian should be able to understand or speak at least one South Indian language. And every South Indian should speak at least one North Indian language. And this language barrier has to be broken. We should learn to respect each other's language and understand that we are one people. This is a very important thing. Today you can see what is happening in the name of language. And there are evil elements who are trying to break down this country, which we should not allow. So the secret of the glory of future India entirely depends upon these 3 points. Vivekananda says, organization, coordination of wills, and accumulation of power. If we are united, you see, there cannot be no power in this world which can bring down this great nation. One small illustration. Just imagine, we have witnessed this greatest event on the planet called Kumbh Mela just a few months back. What a demonstration it is. What a demonstration of the real India. Where is the real India? In Gurugram. The real India is that India which we had seen in Kumbh Mela. 66 crore people coming together in one spot, all united by what? Religion. They may be Tamilians, they may be Gujaratis, they may be Haryanvis, they may be Gujaratis, Marathis, Bengalis, whatever it is. But all united by what? The great Hindu system of thought, the common belief system, that common faith in one supreme Ishvara, that faith that by taking a dip in the Prayagraj, that Sangam, I will become immortal. This common belief system is bringing together the 66 crore people speaking different languages, having different customs, having different practices together as one people. This is real India. Vivekananda had spoken about this 125 years back. India's unity lies in Hindu Dharma. Let us understand this point. In one place he had mentioned, if Hinduism goes away, remember my dear children, within 3 generations, India will be dead and gone. If the soul is gone, what will the body do? So we should understand the inseparable connection between Hindu Dharma and India. Awakening in India has always happened by the awakening in the Hindu Dharma. And in and through this, if you just look into the nationalistic spirit, all those freedom fighters movements, how did it happen? Once this religious sentiment was stimulated, we all started to become united, and when we put forth a united front, we could put an end to this foreign rule. So these are some of the very important points which are coming to my mind when we talk about the Vivekananda's way of awakening. And just as I said, Vivekananda can be discussed and discussed and discussed from various standpoints. And one last point I would like to just touch upon, and then I will wind up my talk. A very important point. Just by becoming materially rich, are we going to become the Vishwaguru? That is not going to be the case. Let us make this point very clear. Material prosperity, of course, it's very important. But material prosperity alone doesn't make a nation great. India's greatness lied in something else. Along with this material prosperity, Vivekananda had visualized a nation full of citizens of towering character. Character building was one thing which he was repeatedly prescribing to the people. Unless we have men and women of character, when I'm talking about character, it is the character which builds or which stands on the spiritual understanding about one's own self. Unless we have such men and women of towering character, remember, no matter how much prosperous we may become materially, the real glory of India will not come. As I said, the real uniqueness of Bharat is what? It is this great Adhyatma Vidya, which is exclusively something which India alone possesses and India alone can give it to the entire world. This spirituality, the great Hindu spirituality, which is a search of the ultimate reality, which starts with the question, who am I? This great questioning, who am I? It is this questioning, who am I, which culminates in the discovery of Ishvara. If you just look into every human being, if you dig into the human being, you discover Ishvara. This is the great science, Adhyatma Vidya, which is the real possession of this great land. On the basis of this great Adhyatma Vidya, when we build the characters of our men and women, then and then alone, coupled with the material prosperity, India will become a great nation. So, dear devotees, once again, let me just remind the main points which I had discussed. The most important point I would say, in today's scenario, we as the citizens of this land, we know there are evil forces working to break down this country on flimsy grounds. We need to be on guard. We know what's happening in our neighboring countries. I don't want to talk about that. Let us not go into the politics of the situation, but our motherland is dear to us. And the very soul of this land lies in Hindu Dharma. Let us not forget this point. Let us not talk about secularism in the westernized sense. Hindu Dharma and Hindu society alone is the one system which can embrace the entire globe as one family. This philosophy doesn't exist in any other system. Let us make this point very clear. Don't get confused about what you are listening in the social media and all those things. It's the Hindu system alone which has got that capability to embrace the entire humanity as one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This can happen only through Hindu system. And that is the very soul of this land. That is why this land is so beautiful. The greatest land about which Swami Vivekananda would literally go crazy talking about it. So this is the thing which we have to, when we talk about Swami Vivekananda, literally, Vivekananda is a subject that we tend to become a bit emotional, and we just can't help it. If you really love India, you will see through Vivekananda, you have to become charged. That's why I appeal to you earnestly, dear devotees, please read that book very seriously. Lectures from Colombo to Almora, you read it, you give it to others, give it to your children. Everyone should read, and especially those 5 lectures, everyone should read. I once again thank Swami Shantatmananji for having given me this chance to deliberate upon this very important subject. Thank you so much.